today's video, we're doing side-by-side tests of several methods that should keep guacamole from going brown. Which ones will actually work and which are just a myth. Guys, we've got a bunch of avocados and some other delicious ingredients. Today we're going to be making some homemade guacamole because we want to test something out. There are lots of people who say that there are different methods to keep guacamole from going brown. I think some of them are not true, and some of them I've just never thought to try before. So today we're going to make a lot of guacamole, spread it out into multiple dishes, and we're going to try each of these methods that we've heard of, and then wait a couple days, put them in the fridge, wait a couple days, and see which one works the best. What still looks like a nice green guacamole, and what has just turned to some gross brown sludge.
This was an excuse to make a lot of guacamole, wasn't it?
Maybe. You can't prove that. Here's the basic idea. Everyone loves a good guacamole, but it's notorious for going bad if you try and keep it in the fridge for much time. Today we're going to try out several methods that are supposed to prevent that from happening, and we're going to see which ones really work and which ones are a bust. First step is, I think we got to cut open a whole bunch of avocados. So, fun fact about avocados, it is believed fruit that has like a fleshy outside and then the seed in the middle. The idea is that animals eat them and then they go elsewhere and then they poop the seeds out, then they grow there. Avocados are believed to have evolved to be eaten by megafauna, such as the giant sloth that used to exist in the Americas. All right, we've got a nice heaping bowl of guacamole, so now we're going to divide this up into portions. Not really big portions, but remember this is
one portion.
This is the leftover guacamole that we're trying to preserve, so we're not going to be filling the bowls. We're going to be like, okay, what's left and how do we keep it good? So we want a control, one where we add salt into the guac, one where we add lemon or lime juice into the guac, one where we put the seeds in it, one where we cover it in water, one where we cover it in water and salt.
And because I'm putting salt in this one, I'm also going to use our favorite seasoning here in the studio, black garlic powder seasoning. The very first ingredient is salt. So we didn't want to add this to the control.
You smooth it out and then you just add a ½ inch covering of water over it, and because avocados are so oily, it doesn't get soaked in, it just sits on the top and then you just pour it out. This bowl, we're just going to add some lime juice and mix it in. A lot of people like to have lime juice in their guacamole anyway, and that's great if you like that. We didn't add it to all of it because it might make a difference in how well it's preserved, but that's just what we want to test. Like if there is lime juice mixed into it versus if there's not lime juice mixed into it, will that change how much it's preserved? Our control, which is just the guacamole that we made, it has no lime or salt, which I actually would consider normal ingredients for some guacamole, but because we don't want to mess up the experiment.
That's just some squished up vegetables.
It's, you know. Here we have water with some lemon juice added to it on top. Here we have lime juice mixed into the guac. Again, would, in my opinion, be a regular ingredient.
Yeah, just necessary.
This has water over the top of it with nothing added into it. This one has been vacuumed. There's very little air inside that jar. It's mostly just in a vacuum itself. This one, we've left the avocado pits in the guacamole itself.
Okay.
And this one, we've added some salt to the guacamole. I am gonna say this one looks darker.
It's already
currently.
Going dark.
It's
yeah.
Like a side-by-side comparison with salt and without salt. It's not a big difference, but this one looks a little bit browner. So I'm thinking the salt leads to a little bit more darkening. And in fact, I was expecting that because J. Kenji Lopez Alt on his Instagram a while back posted something where he had added some lemon juice and some salt to just some mashed up avocado. And he had that result, that the salt actually increased the browning rate.
Okay.
We're testing a few more things here, maybe not as thoroughly as he would get around to testing his stuff, but 7 different varieties of guacamole preservation, or 1 control and 6 preservation techniques. So now we're just gonna put these in the fridge for a couple days and see what they look like.
It's been a few days.
Days in the refrigerator. They all been refrigerated the whole time, all been covered the entire time. And we are seeing some very clear differences.
Yeah.
All right, where's our control?
Right here.
Some significant browning.
Yep.
Obviously.
Well, the bottom looks fantastic.
Oh, so interesting. Just the top layer went brown. Below that still looks green in through the side of our bowl. Interesting. All right, so this is the one I've heard the most. If you leave the avocado pit in, it stops it from going brown.
Well, I think people might be wrong.
I think they might. That looks, if any different, slightly darker on the surface than our control. Still green on the bottom, like the control. Next up, our bowl with salt in it. It's not massively darker, but it is darker. But again, if you look at the side, it does look like it's pretty green below that top layer. Although that top layer might be a bit thicker. It's hard to tell. Guacamole is rarely, if ever, perfectly smooth, so. All right, what do we got here? Lime juice.
And this one had the lime juice mixed in.
Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it preserved it better than the salt did.
It does look greener
the color
than the salt one.
Now here's the ones that were most interesting to me, the liquid ones, because that one was a shock. So this is just water.
That's just water. I got this container so we can try pouring off the water. And obviously the water didn't stay perfectly clean, but
here's my concern, look at the poor tomatoes.
The guacamole does look greener, definitely greener. The tomatoes are browner. Like if you compare them to the tomatoes in our control, those are redder tomatoes than we have over here in our water covered. Covered with water that we squeezed some lemon juice into.
And that just stayed green.
This is bright green color. Like this
and
looks
the tomatoes look okay.
Maybe lighter green than when we started, honestly.
We bleached the color out of it.
And the tomatoes, yeah, we've still got some nice red color in the tomato here. You do, of course, have a little bit of water on it, which I don't think is going to ruin some guacamole, but the difference between, I mean, the water, this looks way better than if we didn't put the water on. And then adding some lemon juice into the water seemed to help even just another level. It's so light. Just by a visual, we haven't done a taste or texture test yet, by visual, covering your guacamole with water and adding some lemon juice to it is absolutely the best way to keep it. Like this looks new.
There's really no fighting that, like the difference is.
Yeah, if someone offered you both of these, which one would you go for? It's pretty clear. Well, let's do a taste test of the ones that we feel are safe. Now, it's probably not going to be amazing guacamole because it has no salt in it and it has, well, there's no lime juice mixed into it or lemon juice mixed into it. You can use either of those. Although there is going to be some lemony flavor on the surface and salt on the chips. So let's just mix that up a little bit, see how this is. Needs salt. Ooh, that lemon's a bit strong because it's just right on the surface. Like I'm basically dipping my chip through lemon water.
You mix a little bit of salt into that though? That's not bad.
Yep, you can actually just dab the water right off the surface. It's absorbed pretty well. Less. So at this point, if you stirred that in, it would just add a little bit of lemon to the guac, and I don't think anyone's gonna complain about that. So I'm very impressed. I would say water with some lemon juice, a great way to preserve it. These two, looking pretty good. So here's the one that lime juice is mixed into it. Surface doesn't look great. Underneath the surface, looks okay. Looks fine. Yeah. So it's a very thin layer.
It doesn't taste nearly as fresh as the one with lemon juice. Like that one's just winning all the way around because this one you're like, that's good guacamole. You made it a couple days ago.
Well, everywhere that the pit is covering, it's working okay, but everywhere that the pit is just nearby, it does not seem to have preserved our guacamole for anything.
I don't want to try that one.
The one with salt, that was a darker color than all of the others.
Yep.
Pretty thin layer, drastically different from the others that we've scraped clean here.
It's hard to say if that one tastes as fresh because there's so much salt. I'm gonna go with no.
Adding some water and some lemon juice.
Heck yes.
Absolutely seems to have done the best job. Kept it green and light. The tomatoes are still red. They didn't turn brown. And the flavor seems good. The guac we made, we are aware, not necessarily the best recipe, didn't have lime juice or salt in it, but it looks good. That looks like you just barely made it. Dry it off with a paper towel maybe.
There
and then
you go.
Just stir it to get any extra lemon juice mixed in. But overall, I'm very impressed with the covering with water with a little bit of lemon juice in it. And what's interesting about that one is I had never actually heard that you should do that. I just did that because I know if you're like making apple pie or something and you need to cut up a lot of apples, you can put them in a
lemon
bowl
juice
of water
method.
with some lemon juice, and it stops the apples from going bad. So I thought, well, the water one I had heard. I definitely heard that one. But I was like, well, what if we just add a little bit of lemon juice as well? It'll make a difference. And I think a little bit. To the tomatoes at least. Maybe to the guac, like to the avocado.
I think the flavor is different. It is to me at least.
All right, so what we declare our winner, make your guac. If you're done eating it for the day, smooth it out as much as you can, add just a 1/4 inch of water, and then squeeze some lemon juice into it. Bottled lemon juice, I imagine, will work just fine as well. And your guac is gonna stay good for at least 2 days. Okay guys, this shot is taking place over a month after everything else we did with the guacamole. I thought the video was done and gone and whatever, and then our production manager messaged and said, hey, I didn't see any footage of you taking the vacuum chamber guacamole out. And we realized that's because we didn't. We left it in a different part of the fridge and forgot it was there for over a month. And this is what it looks like more than a month later. It is still bright green. I'm amazed at this. So whatever processes usually happen, like, have been halted in their tracks. There is a little bit of liquid, not a lot, just a little bit, and I kind of wonder if like the vacuum literally just pulled that out of everything else in there. But I'm now going to break the seal on this, and if it smells safe, I'll try some. This is over a month old guacamole. It's not a bad smell, it just hit me. Like onions is pretty prominent there. It smells fine, honestly. It's like a little bit dry. I feel like the being in the vacuum has just pulled some moisture out of it, maybe. Tastes just fine. I think it did just dry out just a little bit in terms of pulling moisture out of it. But as you can see, it's still bright green. Like this could have been guacamole made 20 minutes ago, and it's not bad. There we go. It's been over a month. It's just been in the refrigerator, but in this vacuum jar for the whole time. So if you really need to preserve guacamole for like a while, I'm gonna say this is the best method. The water with the lemon juice worked very well. I don't think it would have lasted this long. There you go, month-old guacamole. Guys, that's it for today, but we've always got new cool stuff coming out. Go ahead and click that button right there to subscribe if you never wanna miss one of these, and we'll see you in the next one. Talk to you then.